Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Do you remember that excitement when you were actually going to get the PlayStation console or any type of game console for Christmas? Do you remember that gut feeling you used to have in your stomach the night before Christmas when you knew rightly well that you were going to get something that you've been wanting for a long time and you've been waiting ages to get it? Well, here in this video I'm going to share my experience of what it was like for me when I actually got my first PlayStation for Christmas way back in 1997, and how much of a big child I actually was and how excited I was by it. I was worse than a child, I really was, and I just want to share it with you. I just want to go through some of the events because there was some funny kind of moments, and I remember my friends and my brothers all laughing at me. So we ended up getting a ton of games. So I'm going to go through each of the games in the video, and again I'm going to share with you just the stories of the events leading up to getting the PlayStation and getting it open on Christmas morning, what accessories we got with it and the games and so forth we got before it, and what we intended to play throughout the day so that everybody could actually get a go, so that I didn't hog it all for myself because I was usually the biggest villain in that. So we'll just jump in, and again I'll share with you all these games and just some of the fantastic memories that I had growing up with the PlayStation in general, because for me it truly was one of the best experiences to play the PlayStation 1. So before we actually get into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future videos, as I am going to be exploring a lot more classic games in the PlayStation. So before I actually got the PlayStation, we had actually been renting it out months in advance. We used to rent it out at the weekends, but we always intended to actually get our own. So I remember myself and my brothers actually tortured our parents to get the PlayStation for Christmas. But what we started doing as the months leading up to it, whatever little bit of pocket money we were getting, we would usually buy the monthly PlayStation UK PlayStation magazines every month from about June 1997 onwards. And we were stocking up on loads of demo CDs, and we even started buying a couple of games. I actually bought Destruction Derby as my first actual game, the first Destruction Derby game. Then I remember actually buying a couple of months later, I bought Die Hard Trilogy. I bought it actually off a guy that was actually in my class actually in school at the time, because he was selling it, so I bought it off him because I'd played Die Hard Trilogy before and I thought it was brilliant, and the fact it was 3 games in one package and 3 really cool games, I thought to myself, it's a no-brainer, why not? So at least that way then I knew myself, because I was actually planning ahead. I knew myself that at least I'd have something towards Christmas Day. So yeah, it was definitely worthwhile to actually get going with it, because I knew that we were going to get a few games, but at least we'd had actually a few more there, but we ended up getting way more, so it was quite incredible actually. We definitely did a really good Christmas that year in terms of what we were actually going to get. So as we were getting closer to the Christmas holidays, my parents had told myself and my brother Stephen had actually that we were going to be getting a PlayStation for Christmas. Now we were a lot older, so because I was 15 at the time and Stephen was 14, so we were probably a little bit too big for Santa at that time. Now because there was 5 of us, four brothers, and there's 5 of us all together, and my 3 younger brothers, Martin, Damien and Eamon, were still young. They're only 7, 9 and 11, so they were still kind of believing in Santa at that time. And my folks had actually said, right, you and Stephen are going to get the PlayStation for Christmas. So we were completely ecstatic. So they told us that we actually had a choice of getting a couple of games with it. Now they told us the games that were available to us. You get an extra controller as well. So we had choices between Ridge Racer, there was also Fade to Black, there was Actual Soccer, Rayman, and there was PGA Tour Golf 96. And there was another game in the selection, I can't quite remember what it was, but we had a choice of getting those 6 because you got a package with 2 games, so you had to pick 2 of those 6 games. So we ended up, I picked Ridge Racer because I'm obsessed with racing games and I actually loved Ridge Racer, and Stephen picked Fade to Black because he's more into kind of story based kind of games and he likes action kind of focused type stuff. So at least it gave us a choice. It gave us a chance to kind of get something that would suit what we actually wanted as well. But we had to torture as well my parents to not forget to actually get us a memory card, because we were telling them and they're like, why do you need a memory card? Because if we don't, we can't save our games. And we were panicking. We were like, Mom, please get us a memory card. So we're just like, so they ended up getting us that, and we ended up getting us 2 cards. So that's what actually made it a lot easier when it came to Christmas Day. But the lead up to Christmas, especially when it came to Christmas Eve, so once we knew we were getting the PlayStation, that was fine, and we kind of had an idea of what we were getting, but we didn't know that my mum and dad had actually gotten us 2 of the other games, and actually had gotten a couple of games for my 3 other brothers as well, because again we were all close in terms of age. There was only a couple of years between myself and all the brothers, and we were all mad into video games. And the boys all wanted to have, even though they were getting their own stuff, but they wanted to have like a game each of their own. That was kind of the way we done things when we were kids, so that way then nobody would feel like they were being left out. So my parents went ahead and actually got a couple of other games as well, and plus my dad, he did like to play video games from time to time, and he decided to get his own game. Now they didn't tell us what they were getting. It was out of those games as well, they have the selection, but they wanted to have it so that everybody was happy. So that was kind of what happened. But leading up to Christmas Eve, that's to say, I still get wound up by this all the time by my friends Derek and the boys and stuff like that. Because my friend Derek used to live across the road from us, and he practically lives in our house when we were kids. And we were all in that era when we were all playing the PlayStation together. Derek would actually stay over in the house at the weekends, or if it wasn't him, it would be Mark. Mark had his own PlayStation, but Derek didn't, so Derek would stay over at ours. If we rented out the PlayStation the weekend, or we'd all share the pocket money. Derek would get a little bit of pocket money, and we get a wee bit of pocket money, and we'd rent the computer out at the weekends, and Derek would stay over, and we'd just spend the whole weekend playing games. And to be honest, like, even when I go back to even the boys today, they'll still say, yeah, we loved that time, because that was just the way what we wanted to do. We didn't care about anything else. We just loved spending the whole weekend, just everybody together, just playing video games, and especially with the PlayStation, because we were all obsessed with it. And the fact is, we were all getting our own. Derek had eventually gotten his own PlayStation a couple of months prior. He'd actually managed to get his own one, so it was just left for like my turn and my brothers and that to get our own one. So we eventually did get one later that Christmas. But on Christmas Eve leading up to it, this is where I always get pretty much wound up, and the boys just take the mick out of me, because I wasn't a child. I was 15 years of age, but I was the biggest child you would ever see. I was even more excited for Christmas that year than my brothers were. It was insane. The boys were just laughing their head off of me. Even my parents were as well, because I kid you not, Christmas Eve for me, that was like the longest day in existence that day, because all I wanted was the PlayStation, but we weren't allowed to open it until you got it on Christmas Day. And because we didn't know exactly, we knew we were getting some of the games, but we didn't realise that we were getting more stuff as well, because my parents did get more games and stuff, and they wanted to kind of leave it as a bit of a surprise, which I suppose with it being Christmas, that's the whole fun of it as well. And I remember, like, I kid you not, I literally from the morning I went downstairs and got me breakfast on Christmas Eve, I literally sat in the living room, and the boys were laughing at me. Derek would call over to the house and he'd be laughing his head off at me, and he'd be like, Peter, what are you doing? I'd be just literally sitting beside the Christmas tree looking at the big box that was there that I knew the PlayStation was in, and I just wouldn't leave it for the whole day pretty much. And the boys were just winding me up. He said, you're desperate to get at that, aren't you? I'm like, pretty much, yeah. You can see the look and the grin on my face. For me, it was like being a kid all over again. That was what I loved about it. And even when I think of it now, it still brings back that kind of memory, just because it was a fantastic time. Great to be young and innocent, as they say. But I remember around lunchtime, or around just after lunchtime, Derek ended up going off home for a little while, and he came back about an hour or two later, and the first thing he asked my brothers, and he asked my mum was in the house at the time, and he asked, where's Peter? Peter's actually up in bed. He went to sleep. He couldn't hack it. That's what I had to laugh at, because I was that eager to get going, and the day was just dragging. So my thought process was, oh sure, I'll just go to sleep for a couple of hours. That'll pass the time until, and I just got fed up with waiting, and I still get wound up and joke that even to this day about that. Because I really was a big child when it came to the PlayStation, just with games and stuff, because I was just obsessed with games, and I really was obsessed with the PlayStation back then. I really was. I really was a bigger child than even my younger brothers were. I was worse than they were, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure other people out there have had similar kind of, maybe not as extreme as that, but they would have had memories where they were really excited about the PlayStation. And I kid you not, I remember the next morning when I actually did get up, I literally did go to bed, and I think I only slept for about 2 hours. I remember always that time when you used to always get those pins and needles, or the gut feeling in your stomach when you used to wake up at Christmas and you were all excited to get your presents. Even though I was 15, I still felt like that again because I knew what was coming. And for me, it's just when I think back, it was just fun. You know, it was a fantastic, you know, kind of like experience. And I was actually up before everybody in the house. I got up, I think, at like 1 or half 1, and I was straight down playing I opened it up and straight down playing the PlayStation. Remember, all the boys were giving out to me, "Will you go back to bed, will you?" And I was just like, no. It got the better of me. But then when we opened it up, the PlayStation, we got, like, so I got Ridge Racer, Stephen did get Fade to Black. My mum and dad did buy a few of the other games. My brother Martin had wanted a game as well, because he was really big into video games, but not as much as myself or the boys. So he got Rayman. Probably not the easiest game for him to pick up, but he was into those type of games. So Rayman, he got that. He also ended up getting Hardcore 4x4 as well, because my parents had actually got it kind of at the last minute, from remember when they told me, saying that they actually got it really, really cheap. They got it for, like, was it 12 or 13 Irish pounds at the time, and they just thought that they would get an extra game just to actually have it there. So we had a few games to play, so we did have a great selection of games. So he ended up getting that as well. And then my mum and dad ended up getting 2 other games. My dad wanted to get a game of his own as well, because he wanted to try it out, and he didn't really know how to play like the likes of the modern games at that time. So what he done was he picked up PGA Tour Golf 96 because he liked the golf. So we ended up getting that, and they bought us an extra game. They bought us actual soccer. So they did then on top of that to kind of have, so that we would have a few games there. So we'd have a good selection of games to play on Christmas Day. So we literally spent the whole day playing that. Even we got all the demo CDs that we've been collecting for the last couple of months, even likes of Destruction Derby and Die Hard Trilogy, and we had them all pretty much down in the living room playing the PlayStation on the big TV that we had in the living room at the time for the whole day. And then later on that evening, then we'd all kind of clamber into the living room, and we were all kind of trying to play actual soccer, trying to figure out how to play some of the multiplayer games. Even my dad was playing for the golf game for a while, and he ended up getting hooked on that as well. I actually couldn't get him off. We were like, "Dad, can we have another go?" It was fun times. It really was, like, and it's just, yeah. When I look back at it, I'd be laughing my head off, and I can see why the boys even still be laughing at me today for that. Like, it was hilarious. But even at that, we had a selection of really good games there, and we had plenty. Like, we were never going to be bored on Christmas Day. Like, say we had, like, all those games: PGA Tour 96, we had Rayman, there was Actual Soccer, Ridge Racer, Fade to Black, and I had bought Destruction Derby and Die Hard Trilogy before that. Plus we had a ton of demos, so we were playing everything throughout the day, which was fantastic. And, like, even though I was 15, it was definitely for me one of the best Christmases ever. I think for even everybody in the household, like all my brothers and that, because everybody was excited to get the PlayStation. So it really was a fun time to be playing video games. It really was. A couple of days after that, we were actually going down to visit my grandfather over the New Year, and we were going to take the PlayStation down with us. But what we done was, we had money that we'd gotten over the holidays and stuff like that, and we've been saving up a little bit of money. So the morning before we were supposed to go away, myself, my brother Stephen, and my mate Derek, that lived across the road from us, went all the way up to Dublin to just buy a load of games. That's all we wanted to do. So I ended up buying likes of Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and I bought a motocross game, was International Motorwax. I actually have done videos, all the games that I've mentioned in this video here, I actually have done videos on them. I'll make sure to link to them all in the description so that you can go and check them out. So I got them there. I wanted to get kind of like something different, because I had played Blood Omen before and I wanted to play it again, and plus I got it like fairly cheap. I got it for like about £20 Irish pounds at the time, and International Motorwax was fairly cheap as well. And my brother Stephen, he ended up getting Resident Evil Director's Cut, which was really cool. So, because again, we were obsessed with Resident Evil, and even though we had the PlayStation, we still didn't have a Resident Evil game, so one of us had to get Resident Evil. So he got Director's Cut because it had a preview demo of Resident Evil 2 that was a few months away from being released later on, so we wanted to get that as well. So Stephen ended up getting that. But then a couple of days later, when we were actually on holidays, we ended up managing to get like Grand Theft Auto. So we did a Grand Theft Auto. Had literally only been released over the Christmas holidays at that time. And what was funny as well, we went into the record store while we were on holidays, and there was no chance in hell we thought that we would actually get it, because like for the game was like 18 rated. But I didn't look my age. Like, even though I was 15, I looked like I was only about 12, 13. But Stephen was a year younger than me, but Stephen looked like he was nearly 18. Stephen could pass for his age. And what ended up happening, we went into the shop and your man straight away said, no, you can't sell you that. Stephen went in about a half an hour later. Your man gave him the game and sold it to him. So we ended up having Grand Theft Auto then as well. Because what happened was actually, my mate Derek, actually, when we were in Dublin, that time we were buying the games. Before we went away on holidays, Derek actually did buy Grand Theft Auto, because Derek, luckily enough, was the same. He looked a lot older than he actually was as well, even though he was a year older than me. So yeah, it was funny. So it was. So he ended up getting that. So when he told us how good it was, so we were like, oh, we have to get it as well. So we were lucky enough we had it. So by the time school came round, the following couple of weeks later, we ended up having a PlayStation. We had a ton of games that were there, and we had Grand Theft Auto on top of that. So we must have had about 12 or 13 games in total, and including all the demo discs. And that literally, if anything, to get started on your journey with the PlayStation, to actually have all that there within the first kind of couple of weeks was quite incredible. And that literally just spawned an absolute just mayhem then, with just buying games then over the next few months. Whenever you get games, myself and my brothers would always go to Dublin a couple of times throughout the year to actually get games, because we even went to, when Resident Evil 2 came out, myself and Derek and Stephen actually went straight up to Dublin on day one to get Resident Evil 2 when it came out. And I remember actually standing outside one of the toy stores, and we were queuing for a good while to actually get in, so we made sure that we were getting it at that time. So yeah, it was fun. It really was, like. So yeah, I'm sure that you guys have actually had similar experiences when it comes to the likes of gaming, and even with the PlayStation on Christmas, like around the holidays. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it as well, because for me it was one of the best experiences ever, and it really showcases my love for the console, which is pretty much the main reason why I wanted to create this channel as well. I've always wanted to do a games channel, but I didn't really know how to really go about doing it. But it was, for me, then when I think about it, doing it on the PlayStation 1, which is easily my most favourite console of all time. So for me, it was definitely the best way to go. And by sharing all these stories, I'm sure, and I'm hoping that it will resonate with a lot of people out there that actually have had similar experiences. So I'd love to know your stories of when you first got your PlayStation, and what did you feel? Did you have that euphoria and that excitement? I'd love to hear it, so make sure to leave them down in the comments below. So again, all the games that I have mentioned in this video, I actually have done previous videos on them on the channel, so I'll make sure again to drop the links to them in the description so that you can go and check them all out if you want to as well, and see what you think for yourself. And I will be doing more videos on the likes of the demos, and I have a load of other ideas coming up for the channel moving forward, so you'll definitely be able to see that. Also make sure to check out my Instagram page as well. I'll drop a link down in the description, where I do post regular updates, daily kind of updates of what that I'm either doing. If I'm working on certain videos, I'll kind of even just take images and showcase stuff that I'm doing, like my processes of the videos that I'm making, and even just showing what videos I currently have coming out, and just kind of just general chit chat with people as well. So again, make sure to check that out and follow, or if you think you'd like it. So again, I'll have a lot more videos coming your way over the next while, because I have loads of ideas for this channel and with content and stuff like that, because I really want to explore and re-explore the PlayStation, the demos, all the games. I want to have likes of not just reviews but gameplay videos, and even videos where I actually invite other people on, like my friends and family that I grew up with that actually are equally as into the PlayStation, and we all kind of have like our own chats and discussions of what we loved about the console and the games that we loved and so forth. So make sure to keep an eye out for that as well, because that will be coming your way pretty soon, because the channel is actually growing a lot quicker than I ever expected to. Like when I started this, I genuinely thought I'd just do it as a bit of fun, but it's taken off a life on its own. So for me, I actually love doing what I'm doing here, because I just think it's a fantastic way to get your ideas and to share your knowledge and your stories pretty much with everyone else out there that actually do have similar ideas in terms of gaming and stuff. So it's great to actually hear people's stories, so make sure to keep sharing them, because I love to hear them. So as always, enjoy the holidays, as it is that time of year. Play as many games as you can, make new memories, even relive old ones if you can, especially with the PlayStation. Keep playing those classic games and make sure you enjoy them, get the most out of them while you can, and as always, make sure to keep those gaming memories alive.